Hi, this is Carrie with Changing the Matrix. And this morning I woke up and I remembered something. This was back in, I want to say 2004, 2005, somewhere around that time frame. I was living in Oakland and I had a lot of friends that lived in San Francisco and I was always over there. And at that time, there was a lot of, tech boom. I had a lot of friends that were computer programmers. And I remember one of my friends telling me about something that they were doing where they were somehow getting a portion, they were setting it up so that they were getting a portion of what people owed in taxes. And the way she explained it to me, she's like, you want to get set up with this. But the way it sounded to me, it sounded like skimming money off the top, which basically is what it is. And I'm like, that doesn't sound legal or fair. And she goes, well, it's legal. There's like a loophole. Of course, there's always a loophole because here's the thing. Our country is run by crooks. It is run by crooks. And there's a lot of people making money off of things that are very dishonest. And this is the problem is how do you make the government accountable when the government is the judiciary system and it's flawed and it's broken? And there's a lot of predictions and I'm really hoping, like, I don't personally like Trump. I don't think he's an honest businessman. I don't know that he really has our best interest at heart. I don't know. He could be another shyster like them all, because all these elite wealthy people, they're wealthy because they're dishonest, they're corrupt. And I don't know, like, I do see a change in him, and I'm really hoping that there's been enough people doing spiritual work and clearing out family karmas and traumas. And yeah, there's a lot of predictions that in the coming years, all of this corruption is going to come crashing down. And all of these people that have benefited off of bullying, harassing, and basically stealing our money and oppressing us and setting up systems so that we can't get ahead, they're going to pay. They're going to pay and they're going to pay hefty. And all of us that have had money stolen from us, that have been oppressed, things are going to turn around for us. Things are going to be more fair. Um, so back to what my friend was telling me about, that there was some way to set it up where when someone owes money to the IRS, owes taxes, you set it up so when they get paid, you get a percentage of that. What it is you basically pay that person's, what the IRS is saying the person owes, you pay that, and then the IRS keeps going after that person for the money. And when they get the money, they pay you back with interest. And it's the government's way of never losing money, of getting money. They get your money, they make interest on it, and then when the person pays, they don't, everything the person pays, they don't give all that to the person that had paid. Like, I don't know how to explain this. So, say you owe $1,000 to the government. I pay the government $1,000. In exchange, the government promises me a percentage rate on that money. So I'm making a profit. So when you finally pay the IRS, but now the IRS is not going to say you owe 1,000, they're going to say you owe 2,000. It is illegal for the government to ever charge you more than 25%, a 25% late fee or penalties, whatever, the whole bundle. It doesn't matter how much time goes by. In total, the government is not allowed to charge more than 25% of what you originally owed. So take note of that. If you have ever paid over time, like you put on a payment plan, it doesn't matter if you put on a payment plan, in total, they cannot make you pay more than 25% of what you originally owed. So, if you owed $1,000, they can't make you pay more than $250 in a penalty. Okay? So, let's say I pay the government that $1,000 you owe. They promise to give me 20%. So then I get $200. But when do I get that $200? Like when you pay the IRS? What if you never pay them? What if you pay them and you pay them more than 25%, because the government's really good at lying to people and harassing and bullying them. The government's they're always on the winning side. It is set up for them to never lose. What's the government? The government is supposed to be the people. The government is supposed to be servants of the people. Our government is supposed to work for the people, not the other way around. It's not the people working for the government, but that's how it is. That's how it's set up. Who's the government? Well, it's the elite wealthy that control the government. It is, Bezos, Bill Gates, the Rockefellers, the Fords, the royal family in England. Yes, we never actually got our independence from England, by the way, FYI. We're paying taxes to England. We still pay taxes to them, and nobody knows about this. There's elite wealthy families. There's a few elite wealthy families in the world, and they control everything. And every year they get together at the Commonwealth ceremony, and they plan things well in advance. Everything they set up so they don't ever lose. They set it up so they never lose. No matter what happens, they're always on the winning side. They have set up the game unfair, and they're always on the winning side. And the only way to stop this is basically to overthrow, to change our governments, to basically arrest all of them and take their wealth and distribute it back out evenly. But is that ever going to happen? How would that happen? Probably not. But it could happen to some degree. And I am seeing a shift, and there's a lot of psychics, if you want to give them any clout, but there's a lot of people right now that are talking that we're shifting into a new era where all this corruption is going to be exposed, and it's going to start crumbling apart, because, you can only keep up a lie for so long before the truth is always found out. Always. And look at history. Look at Marie Antoinette in France. She got super greedy, and the people were starving because she was just taking more and more and more. And that's what's happening to us right now. We're getting squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter. There's more and more people falling into poverty, becoming homeless, not being able to retire, coming out of retirement because they don't have money. People dying because they can't afford health care. People dying because the elite wealthy make their money by making everyone sick. But I'll get to that in another video. Right now I want to talk about taxes. I'm going to tell you what they're doing. Okay? I'm sure that all of you out there at some point in time received a letter from the IRS from some past tax year. It's probably some tax year that was 6 years ago or 5 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. And they say you owe, and it'll be some amount between $213 to about $325. It'll be somewhere in that range. I know you've all received a letter at some point saying you owe this amount for some past tax year. And I bet you the majority of you just went ahead and paid it because it's an amount that's not worth fighting for most people. It's just not worth it. It is an amount that kind of hurts a little bit, but you just pay it because it's not worth the hassle. You know that you don't owe that amount. You know you don't owe it, but you pay it anyway. Do you know how many people every year are paying this amount? Millions of people. That's over $300 million a year that the government, the elite wealthy, are siphoning off of people. They take that money and they put it in their back pocket. They're stealing money from us. That is the truth. And they're getting away with it because how do you fight them? They're the IRS. They're the ruler over us. How do you fight them? But you know what? The truth is going to come out. I just talked to an attorney and he told me how much they deal with and how it's wrong. They see all the corruption and they're like, there's just, our hands are tied. We just have to do what we can do. And we know we're paying them money that's not owed. And the other thing they do is the IRS has to go by the postmark date. If you mail your taxes in on April 15th or April 18th, I think it is now, they've extended it, you're paying your taxes on time. But they will come back and they will, even if you put your taxes in the mail, let's say on the 13th of April, they'll come back and say, oh, well, here's some late fees because we didn't receive it on time. It has nothing to do with when they receive it. It has to do with the postmark date. And then they'll come back years later saying, oh, you owe us this, $242 or $243. It's always some weird amount like that. It's not a weird amount. It's a calculated amount because they know that's roughly the amount that people will just pay because it's not worth fighting. This is wrong. And all of this money that has been stolen from people needs to be paid back. And I'm sick and tired of being harassed. They go after the low-hanging fruit. They punish people for not having enough money to pay their taxes on time. And then they want you to pay more money because you have less money. Do you see how this doesn't make sense? Why are you paying more money because you have less money? So you're even in a deeper hole. You're working your butt off, trying to make ends meet. The way they calculate the poverty line is so outdated and incredibly grossly inaccurate. If you're making under $100,000 a year and you live in the Bay Area in California and you are paying the going rate of rent or the going rate of a mortgage, you're poverty level. But they don't see it that way. You've got to be living somewhere rent-free in order to qualify for low income, for the poverty level. Because if you had to pay rent, if you had to pay the going rent, you would have, just that alone would put you above the poverty level. Just being able to pay rent. That's not being able to buy food, transportation, clothes, medical, utilities, all this other stuff. Okay? So, if you guys get a letter stating that you owe this amount, that's roughly between $200 to $300, please do not pay it. Please don't pay it. right back to the IRS with a certified letter saying, what is this? Show me what this amount is, and give them a copy of your tax records. Say, this is how much I owed, and I paid it all off. I don't owe anything. So how are you coming up with this amount? What is this money? What is this? They have to explain it to you. And I just received something, and it was late fees. And I said, well, but I didn't pay it late, so I don't owe you this money. Like, aren't all of you sick and tired of this BS? The government runs so inefficiently, deliberately, because they're pocketing money. How do all these politicians have so much money? How are they living in mansions and taking expensive trips and eating at the French Laundry in Napa, which is extremely expensive? How are they affording all this? Think about it. It's because they're stealing our money. It's wrong, and it needs to stop now. And I think that there's enough people that are fed up with all of this corruption, and there's enough people positioned in places that have insider information and hard evidence to bring all these people down. And I think that in the next few years, all these people, they're coming down. But it takes all of you to stop thinking, oh, this is just conspiracy theory. It's not a theory. It's an actual conspiracy. Stop thinking, oh, it's just a theory. The government loves us. Really? If the government loved us so much, then why do we pay so much in taxes and get so little in return? Why are there exponentially growing number of people falling into poverty, becoming homeless, depending on social services? None of us should need social services if our laws were fair, if our economy was a fair playing field. And I know there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, well, it's America. You just work hard and you get ahead. That's not true at all. There's a lot of people working their butts off and not getting ahead. They're working 10, 12-hour days and they're still falling behind, and they're being frugal with their money. Trust me, I know, because I've been there. So this is what I want to say. In order to make things right, in order to make things fair, in order to bring down this corruption and to reverse things back for people to actually have a living wage, to actually be able to afford to retire by the time they're 60, 65. In the old days, we retired when we were 55. We had pensions. Nobody has pensions anymore. Retirements don't pay anything anymore. Nobody even owns their own property. If you have a mortgage, if you pay rent, you are an indentured servant. You are an indentured servant. That is exactly what you are. Look up what an indentured servant is. We came to America. We fought for our freedom so that we wouldn't be indentured servants anymore. If you have a mortgage, you don't own your house. You don't own your house till your house is paid off. And then if you have to pay property tax on top of that, that's the other thing. Then you're paying taxes to the king, to the landlord. We came here to not have landlords, but look how many landlords we have. A lot. Wake up, people. But I think a lot of you, your life is just comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to stand up and stick your head out. But there's a lot of us that are not comfortable. And there's more and more of us becoming uncomfortable, slipping into poverty, slipping into homelessness. And by the time we are at that state, we don't really have the resources or the power to fight back. So it really takes people who are comfortable to do the right thing and to stand up for what's right. That's American. Being American is having the balls, having the integrity, having the wherewithal to stand up for what's truly right and fair. Our government is supposed to be fair to the people. There's supposed to be a fair playing field. We're supposed to be free. You're not free until you actually own outright your property and you're retired. That's when you're free. Until then, you're a working slave. I'm sorry I'm laughing because it's not funny. It's disgusting. Like, yeah, we all have to work. I get that. We all have to work we have to put in to get back. But when we're putting in and getting trickles, pennies back, like Ronald Reagan's trickle down theory. Okay, it's like I'm putting in a whole pitcher of water and I'm getting a drop of water back. Do you think that's going to quench my thirst? No, I need a whole glass of water, or at least a half a glass of water to quench my thirst, you know? But when I'm putting a whole pitcher of water in and I'm getting a drop back, that's bullshit. And you all know that. I was in 3rd grade when Reagan was elected, and I was like, trickle down? How is that even worth it? That's stupid. In 3rd grade, I knew that was dumb. I'm like, how are people falling for this? But you people are you're too comfortable and you just don't want to rock the boat. You're too afraid to stand up for what's right. You've become a bunch of pansies. Our ancestors that fought for their freedoms in this country would be rolling over in their graves right now, looking at society. They'd be like, what has happened to people? You're just rolling over and allowing yourself to get stomped on and allowing that to happen to everybody else. And it's not okay. We're all in this together. If anyone in America is homeless and suffering, we're all suffering. It's not okay. And I'm making this video and sending this message to wake you up and make you realize what they're doing. And I just worked on the high-speed rail project and I lost my job because I saw through the corruption and I called them out. I tried to do it in a very nice way. They hired me to find out why the as-built packages were not being submitted. And I'm like, okay, well, give me access to the documents and let me review these. Oh, well, we don't have a place where we keep all of our important documents. They're all with different contractors. And then I call the contract, oh, well, that was in this person's email and now that person doesn't work here anymore. They deliberately have a high turnover rate so that nobody knows what's going on. When they hired me, they already knew when they were going to fire me. I didn't lose my job because I do inadequate work. Of course, they try to make it seem like that because they remoted into my computer and tampered with my documents. And I had to work a lot of overtime with no pay fixing my documents. And finally, I was like, look, I've told you many times someone's hacking in and changing my document, and it's sucking up all my time having to fix my data so that my status reports are correct. And I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm literally losing my eyesight looking at data for 12 hours a day. So I'm not doing it anymore. If someone tampers with my data and you're not helping me and you're lying to me and having your IT say that no one's remoting in when it's very crystal clear someone's remoting in, because you know your cursor, the arrow, when it becomes bigger and pixelated, oh yeah, and your computer flashes, someone has hacked in. That's someone remoting in. It's obvious. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend all this time not being paid to fix the data that someone else is ruining. So whatever the data is, that's what I'm using. So deal with it. And then they took it as, oh, you don't want to do your job. No, I'm doing my job. Someone's tampering with my documents and you know it and you're not helping me. And so a month in, I was like, wait a minute. How do you not have all of your important documents stored on some sort of platform? That's basic. Like, you're a big company. You should know, you know better. Like, you've been in business for how many years? Come on, guys, you know better. Like, why hasn't this ever been set up? They didn't have an answer for me. They were just like, oh, we understand there's systemic issues, but you just need to solve this and get this done faster. And I'm like, well, if I have to spend all my time trying to find documents, this is not going to happen overnight. This problem's not going to be fixed overnight. I'm just telling you. Like, I'm telling you what the issue is. I'm telling you, hired me to find out what the issue is and how we got in this position, and I'm telling you the truth. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you how it is. And I'm just saying, like, if you want this done faster, this is what you need to put in place. The problem is upper management. The problem was upper management not giving direction, not setting things up that needed to be set up, but it's all by design because that project is a money laundering project. It is designed to keep it going. This project started in 2008. 2008. And they're saying by 2030 they're going to have the train up and running between Madera and Fresno. That's a very short distance. You can drive that distance in about an hour. An hour and a half maybe with traffic. It's not that far of a distance. And it's taken them that many years, and it's not even going to be done in 2030. It's probably more than likely going to be done in 2032. 2032. 32 minus... Sorry, I'm doing math. It took them 24 years. It will have taken them 24 years in total to build a high-speed rail train that you can drive in, about an hour, hour and a half. Now, does that seem ridiculous? It is ridiculous. These CEOs, these people at the top, they're making all this money, and then they're claiming, oh, we're creating all these jobs. They don't count when someone leaves. They just count all the new hires, and they don't count how many people they've let go. They're just rehiring the same position. So it's only one position that they've created, but then they claim, oh, we've created 5 jobs. That one job turns into 5 jobs. So that they get more funding, they get more money, our money. Government money is our money, it's my money, it's your money, it's money that we pay in. And what are we getting back? Most of that money is just going to pay CEOs millions of dollars a year for their income, because in the last 30 years, the rate that CEOs make has gone up 1,000%. Everyone else has gone up about 400%. Do you see the difference? Their percentage of what they make has doubled in comparison to everyone else. The cost of living has doubled. So the rich are exponentially coming up here, and we're sinking down. And it's becoming this bigger divide. It's becoming the poor and the rich, the peasants and the royalty. And I just wake up, people, and the whole COVID agenda. Everyone knew at the very beginning, everyone said something feels off. Something doesn't sound right. And you all knew that something wasn't right, but then you just didn't question. You just went along with it. You guys got to stop just going along with things. Stop watching TV. Stop listening to the radio. It is hypnotizing you. They use hypnosis and subliminal messages to control you, to control your thoughts, what you believe in, what you crave to do, the food you eat, all of it. It is designed to control you. Guarantee you, just take 2 months. Don't watch TV. Don't listen to the radio. Nothing. Don't look at social media. Just cut yourself off from it all for 2 months. And then go back and just watch it for a couple minutes. And you might start to see how they do the subliminal messages. The camera angle cutovers, the lighting, when there's this movement, this cutover, they're like talking to you like this, and then all of a sudden like that. Like, what is with this? Why would you want to look at me talking to someone else? I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you. Look at me when you're talking to me. Not look off into space. Why would I want to listen to someone that's like, what are they looking at? Who are they talking to? They're not talking to me. If you're not looking at me, you're not talking to me. That's my pet peeve. I don't know who started that. And all these people doing those dumb camera angles, side camera angles, it irritates me. That's just one of my pet peeves. It's so irritating. To me, when someone looks away and they're talking like this, it's because they don't want to look you in the eyes. Because if they looked you in the eyes, you would see that they were lying to you. When someone's lying to you and they feel guilty about something, they look down, they look away, they look up, and because they don't want to face you. But I'm telling you, in movies, TV shows, all the media, the news, it's all, they say specific things. They have certain camera angles, certain sounds, certain like flashing with the way they cut over. If there's like a lot of cut over and the cadence of the talking is like boom, boom, boom. It's designed to wear your mind out, to make your mind tired, because then when your mind is tired, you are more easily able to be programmed. That's what hypnosis is. Hypnosis is wearing out the conscious mind so that you can program the subconscious mind. That's why they target children. Children are so susceptible to being programmed. Children, when they're really little, they know the truth. They see the truth. But then they get lied to. They get programmed. They're, you're a dreamer. Oh, you're fantasy. Oh, no. Kids see things for how they really are. But then they get lied to. They get programmed. They were watching cartoons that program them. And they're inundated with all this bullshit and doctrine programming and conditioning. And so, it's not your fault that you got duped. We all get duped in many ways. We're all being duped right now. They're stealing our money, our livelihood. Like, none of us should be working more than 30 hours a week. And if you think, oh no, you have to work hard, you should work more than 30 hours a week. No, none of us have to work more than 30 hours a week. And in the old days, on average, we worked 20 to 25 hours a week. And we owned our own businesses. In the beginning of America, we all owned our own businesses. We owned our own land. We didn't pay property tax. We didn't pay these hefty taxes. We owned our own land. We owned our own business. We have family businesses. We hung out with our family all day. We had closer bonds and connections. And we don't have that anymore. The Industrial Revolution ruined that, separated the families. That's why people became alcoholics and became depressed. because it caused separation, divide and conquer. Oldest trick in the book, divide and conquer. Families are divided, communities are divided. They deliberately have our political system with a two-party system to divide people. Our forefathers warned against a two-party system. Should be like a five-party system, you know? Just like sports. You don't have just two football teams. You have many football teams. You know? But even in major sports, unfortunately, the games are all rigged, especially in basketball. Basketball is my game, and I stopped watching it. I just got irritated. I'm just going to watch college basketball because, the professional NBA is like, it's all rigged. Like, I see so many bad calls. It's rigged to have certain teams win. People bet money. Yeah. The corruption is everywhere, and there's too many people benefiting on the corruption. That's why they don't speak up. And then when people try to speak up, they're like, oh, that's just conspiracy theory. I'm not saying all this to make you upset and angry and mad. I'm saying all this because I want to let you know we have power. We can change this. We can bring this corruption down. But first and foremost, you have to acknowledge exactly what they're doing and how things are corrupt. You need to understand how things are unfair. Okay? How things are designed to keep us down and oppress us. And then how do we change that? How do we dismantle that? How do we take our country back? Because the government is supposed to be here for the people. They are servants. Their title is servant of the people. They are our servants. Government employees they're my servant. I'm paying you. You're my employee. You're paying taxes. You're paying the government to do a job for you. Okay? Not the other way around. We're not here to serve the government. That whole speech, it's not about what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. And he made it seem like this great, wonderful thing. Oh no, that was the beginning of the end. That's terrible. It's not about what you can do for the country. It's about what the country can do for you. It's about what you can do for your community. It's about how people can work together. It's about how you and me can work together and help each other out, and how we can make our government accountable. Like, we're paying them. We're paying them to do a job, and they're not doing it. And they're wasting our money. If you hired a contractor to redo your roof, and you knew how much the materials cost, you knew how much the labor was, and you knew how much time it would take to do it, and the contractor quoted you a price, you agreed to that price, and then later the contractor, and this happens a lot, the contractor comes, oh, it's going to take longer, and then you see how they're just wasting material. They've thrown away half the material that they've bought, and there's no reason for them to do that. And they're taking longer than it should take, and they're not paying their employees what they said they would pay them, etc., right? And then they did a crappy job, and now your roof is leaking, and you're like, hey, come back and fix this. And they're like, oh, well, if we're going to fix it, you're going to pay us more. This is how the government operates. Would you keep doing business with that contractor? Hell no, you wouldn't. So why are we still doing business with these politicians that are wasting our money, stealing our money, like setting up laws that are unconstitutional and unfair? In our Constitution, it says justice and liberty for all. What does that mean, justice for all? Justice means fairness. It means that every system needs to be a fair playing field for all. It means that we all deserve to be free. Now, if you pay a mortgage, if you're paying rent, you're not free. You are not free. You are an indentured servant. So there are a lot of things set up. They're unconstitutional. And we need to hold our government accountable. We need to hold these people making these unconstitutional laws accountable. These pharmaceutical companies that harm and murder people, and they don't take any accountability because they've made billions. And then what? They pay out in lawsuits and fines a couple thousand when they've made billions. Maybe they pay out 1 million, but they've made billions. So it's worth it for them. They don't care. They don't care about you. They know their medications are going to harm people and kill people. But it doesn't matter because they're making money. And capitalism's so holy and great that making money, you should allow people to make money in a very evil and corrupt way. That's the American attitude right now. Do you know that, okay, now I'm going to get into this. Do you know that most of the healthcare problems, most of the health issues that people have in America is because of industrial farming? Why do you think Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland? Do you think he's buying it up because there's money to be made in it? There's no money being made on farms, but there is money being made on making people sick. The chemical nitrates they put in fertilizers and chemical fertilizers damages your red blood cells in your pancreas. Right now in America, a majority of people, our pancreases are being severely damaged. When your pancreas is damaged, guess what? Diabetes, blood sugar issues, all kinds of digestion problems because your digestive enzymes, guess what? They're made in your pancreas. Guess what regulates your blood sugars? Your pancreas. Guess what regulates your hormones? Your pancreas. So people are having thyroid problems, hormone imbalances, colon cancer, IBS, leaky gut, parasitic infections, etc., etc. Right now, colon cancer is the #1 cause of death in America, and it is all from industrial farming. The GMO plants, GMOs in themselves isn't necessarily bad, but the GMO plants are designed to not die from the pesticides. Not only are they putting chemicals in the fertilizer, but they're spraying poison on the food. You can't spray poison on the food and think you just wash it off and there's no poison in the food. All industrial produce has poison in it. It is poisoned food. You are eating poison. You are literally eating poison. And this whole agenda a few years ago, they put that in place because they knew a lot of people were going to start dying of the common cold. It was a common cold. And every few years, we have a stronger strain, variant if you want to call it, but it's a strain. Every 10 months, every year, there's a new strain of COVID virus. And that is why you can never have a vaccine. There is no such thing as a vaccine for the common cold, okay? Get that through your head. There's no such thing as a vaccine. All you people are like, I'm fully vaccinated. You just sound like a total idiot. Like, look at hard science, and you will know that I'm telling you the truth. Look at science. Hard science, not fake science divvied out by pharma, but real science. You got to dig back before the whole agenda. Dig back. And now it's harder to find that information by design. So, I mean, aren't you all fed up with being sick, with working to death, with constantly having this stress? Wondering how you're going to get by? How are you going to pay off your house? How are you going to retire? Are you going to lose your job? Yeah, I lost my job and I'm on unemployment and it doesn't even cover my mortgage. And they think I make too much to qualify for Medi-Cal. Like, I'm $1,000 in the hole every month. With what money do you think I have for medical? I'm racking up my credit card, not knowing how I'm going to pay it. I'm going to have to file bankruptcy at some point. And that's by design. They put people in the position where they have to file bankruptcy, where they have to foreclose on their house, and the banks never lose. It's set up, it's designed. The banks never lose. They give you a loan. Let's say you owe them $120,000 left. They foreclose on your house. They take your house. They sell it for $300,000. They owe you that money. Whatever they sold your house for, they owe you that money. But they don't pay it to you. You have to go through all these. You have to know what form to fill out, where to submit it. You have to do the work to get your money back. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be automatic. If you only owe 100, let's say you owe 120 and they sell your house for 300, that's 180,000 that they owe you. Are they going to pay that to you? No, you got to go through all this shenanigans. And then do they pay you interest? No. And a lot of times what they do is they're in bed with real estate investors. So whatever you owe on your house and the mortgage, they allow an investor and a real estate investor to just pay them what you owe them. And they get a house for under the value. And that's wrong. That should be illegal for them to be allowed to sell your house for under market value. That should just downright be illegal. But they do it. They'll foreclose on a house. If you only owe $100, they'll sell your house for $100. So you should be on top of that and get one of your relatives or friends to buy your house for you so you can get it back. Instead of all these, real estate tycoons basically stealing people's property and all the money you put in. That doesn't even account for all the repairs and upgrades, money you've poured into the house, property taxes, all of that. It's wrong. They have us working as indentured servants and they continue our indentured servitude. And I want you to all wake up to this. Because in 2009, 2008, a lot of people lost their houses. They lost a lot of money that they poured in. I lost. In 2008, I lost everything. There was 3 years where business was good. All the money I was making was getting sucked into this dilapidated house. I lost everything. And that was by design. I was set up to just work like a slave and get nothing back. And I'm not the only person this has happened to. It happens to a lot of Americans. And we don't have a crystal ball. You're like, oh, it's your own fault. No, I would have needed a crystal ball to know what was going to happen. And not all of us have the insider information, Not all of us are raised in a well-off family that gives us all of the nuance, the information that we need to make good business decisions. So this is what I want to say to you all. Please wake up, do the right thing, stand up for Americans, stand up for what's fair. Don't just sit on your ass because you're comfortable. Because you know what? Maybe you're comfortable today, and in a few years, you just may not be comfortable. And then you'll wake up and it's going to be too late. It's like the frog in the pot of water, the water that's slowly boiling up, and the frog doesn't realize it's going to die until it's too late. Okay? So don't think, things are going to be all okay until it's too late. Pay attention. Pay attention to what's really going on. Stop watching the news. Start talking to people in your community and really seeing where they're at. Because some people, you think, oh, they're doing great. But no, they're living above their means. They're racking up their credit card. So, yeah, that's what I want to say. And I really do have faith that there's going to be a hard reset. And so get ready for it. There is going to be a hard reset. I'm a little worried about it because I feel like I'm not in a good position right now at all. I tried not to be in this position, and here I am. And it's so frustrating because throughout my life, I'm almost there, and then something happens. Like I was just I was just gonna start my own like side business. I was gonna start dating again, and then the shutdown happened. And it ruined what I was gonna do for my side business. It made it so I couldn't do it. So throughout my life, there always seems to be something that prevents me from getting ahead. And that is by design. And I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of Americans out there that work their butts off. I was a hairstylist for many years, working 10, 12-hour days, sacrificing my personal life to make everyone else's life great and wonderful. What about me? You know, where's my husband? Where's my boyfriend? Where's my partner to pay for half of everything and do half of the housework? You know, when you're single, it's really, really hard to get ahead. Do you think I want to be single? No, I don't. Unfortunately, there just aren't very many quality men my age. Most of the men I meet my age, if they have their finances together, they're kind of controlling chauvinists. I'm not dealing with that. Or they're just really not attractive. And if they're attractive, they don't have their finances together. It's always something. And I can't just settle. I can't be with someone just to be with someone. I know a lot of people out there can do it. I can't. If I'm not in love with you, I can't be with you. If I don't respect you, I can't be with someone that I don't respect, because then I'd be disrespecting myself. So, anyway, I know I went off another tangent. This is about taxes. I just want to make you aware of the corruption. I think you all know about the corruption, but if we just sit by and don't do anything, it's just going to get worse. You know, it's kind of like when someone gets away with something, they're going to take it up a notch and see what else they can get away with. And they're just going to keep taking more and more and more until you stand up. But by the time you stand up, they're going to gaslight you and be narcissists and say, like, well, you're being so mean and ridiculous, and how dare you? Because they're so used to you being laying down and letting them walk all over you. And then when you finally stand up for yourself and be like, no, hey, this is enough. This is where I say, this is the line. I just say, no more. Yeah, they're going to retaliate. And you have to stand firm and stand strong and be like, no. But we all have to stand together. And that's my message. I want to wake you all up to the level of corruption that's going on, and that we all have to stick together and we have to help each other out. The government is supposed to be here for us, not us being a slave to the government. Please get that through your head. Thank you. That's the message I want to say to you, and I hope you all understand this and get this, please. And if this gets censored and taken down, that just shows how true what I'm saying is. And then I'll have to put this on the dark web or on some other platform that is not censored. Okay? Because you know who controls the media. And if I'm saying something and they're not allowing it, it's because I'm saying the truth. I'm saying something that can bring their corruption down. All right? Please, let's take our country back. Let's take our lives back. Have a wonderful day. And please, if you get a letter, saying you owe some amount between $200 and $300 for some past tax year, don't pay it. Don't pay it. Send them a certified letter and say, well, according to my records and my hard copy of my taxes, I'm paid in full. So show me where you came, how you came up with this amount. They have to. And if they don't, you don't have to pay it. They have to show you proof. Okay? Thank you. Please stand up for what's right. Please do the right thing. We have to stick together. And you have to help out the Americans that are being taken advantage of. And maybe $300 is nothing to you, but to someone else, that's a matter of them being able to eat for the entire month, or being able to have health care, or pay for their car insurance and gas in their car. For some of us, that money means a lot. So that's what I want to say. Thank you for listening. Let's make America great again. Let's take it back from the greedy, corrupt politicians. Let's make things right and fair. Thank you.